and it's not so good. And so anyway, that I always try to take kids and grandson, let them most of the time do the shooting. But yeah, I guess I've been rabbit hunting for 40 years.
Well, what kind of gun do you usually use going rabbit hunting?
12 gauge shotgun. Yeah.
When I was a kid, of course I didn't know that much about hunting or anything, but when we lived on the farm, we just did. Nobody showed us. We just did it. But I always hunted with a 22, even squirrels or rabbits. Yeah. That's just what I used. I didn't like the shotgun.
Yeah.
But I got where I was pretty good with it.
Well, I hunt with dogs. I got beagles, and they'll run that old rabbit a circle around, unless it's swamp rabbits. Now them swamp rabbits is a different story. They'll circle unless they've been hunted hard, and then they may change patterns on you, and you don't know which way they're going to come in. Or if the dogs get pushed them too hard, they'll take an old slough or a body of water. But I guess one of the funniest things ever happened rabbit hunting. It was 3 guys that I worked with. We was over by Puxie and a farmer gave us permission to hunt. And the dogs got on a rabbit, and they run in a circle, and he had a bunch of farm machinery, and it got under a bush hog. Well, them dogs tracked up there and run it out from underneath that bush hog, and it hit the side of the county road and took off down the county road. And I seen the rabbit run in his yard. And so here goes the dogs down the road. They cut in the yard, and they go in his garage. And I told one of the boys that was hunting with us, I said, my dog just went in his garage. So we took off running down there, and they went in the garage and caught that rabbit.
Caught it alive.
Caught it alive. Well, they killed it.
Yeah.
But it was alive, yeah. And I don't know if them people were still in bed or not. I don't know, it was early in the morning, but but that was something that was kind of different.
Yeah, that's it. Talk about the rabbits. One time, me and my brother-in-law was hunting rabbits. Did you know Carl Clanahan? He lived out by Hillard.
Okay, I've heard of the Clanahan name.
Yeah, well, he ended up being a dentist here in town. But anyway, my brother-in-law and him run around together when they was kids, but we was up on their property, and we was hunting rabbits. I had that 22, and it seemed to me like my brother-in-law had 22 also, because we come across the rabbit. We didn't have dogs. We come across the rabbit, and he run into this patch of, I guess you call it a briar patch or something, but it's a pretty good size patch there. And he run in there, and so my brother-in-law went around one side, and I went around the other side. So we didn't know which way he was going to come out. I don't remember which he came out on, but whoever it was shot him, but he hit him in the legs, I guess, the back legs, and he run back in there. We didn't know that at the time, but he run back in there, and they came out on the other side, and whoever, I don't remember if it was me or him, shot at him, or I don't know if we hit him or in the legs again, but we never did hit him any further up, toward the head or anything. Yeah. And he kept getting away from us and going, and pretty soon he just run himself down to where he couldn't go no more. Well, but his legs his back legs weren't any good for him. He was just running
crawling with his front end.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be.
We finally got him.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Now, them old swamp rabbits they're hard to kill. I mean, their hide's tougher than a cottontail, and you got to have pretty good shot, pretty heavy shot, to get them. And I've shot them before, and they've went up in hollow trees. And if you can't get him out, you mark that tree, and when you're hunting, you come back through, and a lot of times, if you hit him very hard, you check that tree, and he fell back down in the ground. They'll crawl up in that as far as they can go. Them swamp rabbits will.
I'll be darned.
And they'll maybe a hole that big on up in there, and they can get their back and feet against it, and they'll do that a lot of times. The dogs running them. If they getting too close to them, they'll do that. But yeah, I've done that before down the bottoms, and shoot one and get away from you and get in an old den, have a hole in the bottom, and I would break some limbs off around it so I'd know which tree it was. We'd go on hunting, be gone on out in there 3 or 4 hours, and come back around. A lot of times, if come back around, there'd be the rabbit. He'd give it up, and then when he died, he'd fall back down to the bottom. But no, I'll tell you something. Something else that was funny and it was crazy happened to me one time. I was living. I guess I was living here. I think I was still living here. But I was down by Neelaville rabbit hunting, and I had parked off the side of the road. And when I come back hunting, I had a dog that was hard to catch. And so I caught 3 dogs. I couldn't catch her. She takes off down the road, and I'm trying to call her and trying to catch her, and she just stay like from here to that door from me. Well,
Just being ornery.
being ornery. Well, she finally got off in a ditch, and it had high grass in it. So I run her down and I caught her. Well, I was aggravated at her. I was about ready to kill her. But anyway, took her back over there, put her in the dog box, shut the tailgate, took off to the house. I got home, unloaded my dogs, went to get my hunting vest and my guns and stuff, my gun, no gun. I got to thinking about it. I laid that shotgun down on the side of the road and forgot about it, and drove all the way up here. And as soon as I realized what happened, I jumped back in that truck, and I broke the law all the way down there. But, and it was about 6 miles from here. But when I got down there laid my shotgun right on the side. Nope, just so happened nobody drove by in between that, because they would have picked it up.
Could have seen it. Huh?
Yeah, it was plainly, it was laying, off from the grassy part of the ditch, out in the gravel road about like this. When I drove up there, I could see it,
Yeah.
I couldn't. I said, thank you, Lord. I just knew my gun was going to be gone.
That'd been a bad feeling.
Oh, man, yeah, that old gun, and back at that time, it was better shape than it is now. It'd been $250 down the drain. But, yeah, I didn't really think it'd be there when I got back. I thought I've lost my gun.
Hey, you guys talking about rabbit traps the other night there. I used to make some rabbit traps. Me and Ted did. Probably some of our other brothers helped out. We used to make some, but they was just a box about this wide, about that tall, and about that long, with a trap door up front
Box
there.
and trap.
Yeah, it just, they go in there to get that carrot or whatever we might have in
Yeah.
there, and trip that lid and shut
Lock them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and my brother used to make them when we was kids.
I'd never heard about that one that you said you made there.
There's a guy I rabbit hunt with, and he had one. That's the first one I'd ever seen, and it was different. Like I said, it's open all the way around. It raises up. I told him, I said, I'm going to make me one of them. So I just measured it, made me some blueprints, and I built me one. And they work good, real good. But
Where'd you grow up as a kid?
right over here, Lone Hill. I live about probably between a quarter and a half a mile from where I was pretty well raised most of my life.
Yeah.
Dad sold that place when I was 18 years old. So most of from about 10 or 11 to about 18,
Yeah.
we lived over here.
The farm we lived on, it was up above Hiller, about 2 miles above Hiller, on Highway W there.
Yeah,
And that was my experience of hunting and all up in there,
up in that,
doing a lot of different things. I remember one year that we were getting close to the end of the school year, and they was gonna put a play on at the end of the last day of school there, or something, graduation day. And it's gonna be about a dentist. And the teacher wanted somebody to bring in a big tooth, like out of a skull of a horse or a cow or something, Of course, all them farmers around there, sure. So I was hunting one day, and I come across a skull out there in the woods. And of course, here I am, I'm still, just kids
yeah,
out there, but that was okay, because we always hunted everything, but
yeah,
we didn't know enough to be really safe about hunting and all
Yep.
that. And here lay that skull, and man, there's a tooth in there, just bright, a big old tooth, and I couldn't get it out. And I took that shotgun, and of course I didn't know that you wasn't supposed to have it ready to fire, And I hit that tooth like that, and that went, that gun right here
Gun
went
went off.
BAM!
Yeah. Right in your ear.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh, that was close,
Yeah.
But it got that tooth.
Got the tooth?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it got the tooth.
well, I blowed the end of the barrel of a shotgun off one time, rabbit hunting, in the snow. I crossed the fence and I didn't realize what I'd done, and I packed, and it don't take much, packed in the end of a barrel because of all that pressure coming out of the barrel, and it looks like snow, it would blow it out.
Yeah, you think.
But it blew that barrel off right in front of the forearm, and that when it blowed it off, it come back and hit me in the side, and that barrel it bounced off of my side and here that TV, and just luckily the smooth end hit me. The other end was jagged where it broke off.
Ooh.
And boy, I had a big old bruise there for 4 or 5 days or 6 where that barrel hit me in the side. But I sure did. That's the first and last time that's ever happened. I always check my gun, especially the snow and the mud, And I tell them boys crossing fences and stuff, and I make Connor use a 20 gauge single barrel. He got one shot with an automatic or something. The kid gets excited. When they shoot, throws another shell in there. If they don't put the safety on, they're walking around ready to shoot. So this way here, he's got to break it down, put another shell in it. But every once in a while, I'll tell him, I'll say, break your shotgun down and look through it, make sure you ain't got your barrel plugged. I don't want that to happen to him.
No. Don't need that, that's for sure. Yeah, well, I used to do a lot of squirrel hunting when I was out there on the farm, but I had a dog that was a good squirrel dog, I guess. He was just our pet.
Mm-hmm.
He liked to go with me and go hunting.
He'd tree squirrels.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. I remember this one time, the only reason I brought that up because this one time I always was hunting with that 22. And this squirrel took off up the tree and he got in the nest up there. Well, of course you couldn't see the squirrel. You could see his tail once in a while flipping, I thought, I don't know for sure where he is. And I thought, I'll just shoot into the nest and see. And I shot into the nest. That squirrel fell out of there. And of course, the dog jumped. I got away from the dog, and I was wondering where I hit him at. And I looked and looked and looked, couldn't find no place I hit him. But he was dead.
Well, I'll be.
And so when I got home, I skinned him, and it had went up his paw. That 22 had went up his paw, up his arm, went up there. I guess it went through his heart or what, and hit his back and broke his back. And that shell was
Well.
in there